about the use of the state's emergency warning sirens after officials sounded the alarm during a brush fire Saturday in Ka'anapali. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Allison Blair. A call for clarity comes after weeks of mixed messages from state and county officials regarding which emergencies warrant use of the outdoor alert. Eddie Dowd reports.
We've heard from officials about when these sirens have historically been used, but no clear answer on how they will be used moving forward following the devastating Maui wildfires on August 8th. A brush fire in Ka'anapali Saturday afternoon brought with it a response that was swift and multi-pronged. Military Chinook helicopters assisting those from the Maui Fire Department to drop water, text alerts urging residents in the area to evacuate, and emergency sirens heard across West Maui.
They actually sounded it, I think, 3 times.
For area residents, the response to the fire that burned 7 acres of land felt much different from how the Lahaina fire on August 8th was handled. That inferno left more than 115 dead, with hundreds still missing.
It definitely was different. By the 3rd time of the sirens going off, I think people realized there was something going on. Hundreds of cars lining down all the way towards Lahaina, towards Ka'anapali. Everybody was just heading north.
In an exclusive interview with H&N Investigates, the incident commander of the state's response, Major General Kenneth Hara, said they are reviewing protocols over use of sirens.
There's a lot of questions about the sirens. I think that's something that we're going to scrutinize. We're already reviewing what the current protocols are. We're in discussion with the counties if anything needs to change. I believe that that'll be one of the first things, if there is change, that we'll be amending.
StandTogetherHawaii.com, and I am so excited about interviewing Robert today. He has been, most of his life, he's been a botanist. For 48 years, he's been studying plants and trees, and I'm going to actually let him give you his background. But we're going to be talking about, he's also been studying, how many locations have you gone to or pictures have you studied over the past, 7 years? You gave a number when I saw your interview last.
I've been to 38 fire aftermaths, mostly in California, a few in Southern Oregon, and taken 107 trips to all of them. So I've done a lot of footwork collecting evidence at every site, except perhaps 3 that I deemed were normal forest fires that we know of. All the rest were something else.
Wow. So yeah, something else.
There was a police barricade blocking the street so people couldn't get out. But the people trying to escape in those cars that you see burnt, they were blockaded in there. The water was shut off. Firefighters couldn't fight this. The local people couldn't save their own homes. School was canceled that day. You had children, our keiki, babies, and elderly trapped in the homes. That's who they're recovering.
Became an arborist for 20 years and let that lapse because I was going beyond some of the areas they wanted to talk about, and reclassified myself with my own term, forensic arborist, because that's what I feel I am now. I've been to 38 aftermaths, like I said, and 107 trips to all these in the last 7 years. And somewhere along the line, I was designing a hike up north in Santa Rosa.
The whole thing is just inorganic. It's just not following the natural flow of humanity. But the thing is, it can depend. So, but the problem here, I think, is the density, in that density. For example, I do a lot of work where it involves me going out to large ranches and stuff in the Sonoma, or in the Central Valley. And what I see out there is you'll have the nice house of the ranch owner, and then there will be other little houses that the farm workers work in. But it's not, that seems to work out fine. But this is trying to put, if you've got a house in Belvedere.
Mr. Belvedere?
Belvedere.
The Belvedere? Yeah.
Is a town that is only exclusively extremely wealthy people. It's just a little rock out in the bay. So their RENA number has required them to balance by having extremely low income housing, so people can live in Belvedere when they're extremely low income. The issue with Belvedere, which I think is an interesting one, is they have no land to build anything on.
They're already built out.
Completely.
Oh, Belvedere! Come here, boy!
once there, and I forgot to look away down south.
I saw Mr. Belvedere.
Hi, Mr. Budweiser. Is this where we hide?
It's not a surprise party, Angela.
Now let's go back to the interview. And in your city, which is a small town, I wouldn't call it a city, like it's a small town, it's pretty rural, right? And there's a lot of space. Isn't there space across the community? Like there's a lot of farmland that people could develop single, if they wanted to change the zoning, people could develop single family homes, right?
Well, they're trying to discourage that. So, and that's a big issue. The document that's really interesting to read is the RHNA methodology, final RHNA methodology document. So RHNA is the Regional Housing Needs Allotment, and that's been around since the 60s. So the government's trying to predict where are we going to need housing, you know, what kind of housing. But what's happened recently is it's the method includes a lot of things that can't be defined. Okay, so, and then what they do is the state gave the Bay Area, the Association of Bay Area Governments, a number. And this number has to be met within 8 years. And that number is 441,000. Then you have a committee that gets together and decides which jurisdiction gets how much of this number. And it's divided into extremely low income, moderate, and above moderate. And then they have this methodology where they're deciding who gets what. So, for example, Belvedere.
Trying to watch Mr. Belvedere.
Well, thanks, Angie. You're a great big help. Sure. And if you need any more advice, just give me a call. See you, Mr. Bunny Hopper.
Okay. What I saw was something that didn't make sense to me. I saw this picture of Santa Rosa, California. This came up on my computer screen because I'm looking for hikes and waterfalls and such, and this came up, and yeah, all the houses are missing their white ash, but what are all the trees doing there? Many of these are pines and eucalyptus and very flammable leaves. It just made no sense to me. I've got a background of cooking on campfires for my entire adult life, from sea level to 13,000 feet in the Sierra. I've burned everything, and everything burns in a tiny campfire. And this is a horrific firestorm, they said. Why are all the trees still there?
By meeting with evacuees and cataloging their video, a more robust timeline comes into focus, and there are some surprises. Lahaina Luna Road, where it meets the highway, that was shut down at one point. Keawe Street and Honoapilani northbound was shut down during the height of the evacuation for over 2 hours. Downed power lines entangled these cars on Honoapilani Highway near Kapunakea, 1 block north of Lahaina Gateway. This man at 2:53 p.m. August 8th is unsure if the lines are energized and removes the power line from his SUV using a branch.
This is in Maui now. I've taken some of the pictures off the internet here, so none of these Maui pictures are mine. And I'm going to expand on every one of these pictures. And this is the same stuff exactly that I've seen in California. No different, all the same fire footprints, things that don't make sense. Here, a home's on fire and nothing else. And I believe that's because of all the metals, whether they're ferrous or non-ferrous, that are in a house. These things get hit, they burn, and it's rare to see a tree burn or any plant unless it's in very close proximity to the house. And I mean 10 or 15 feet. So this is common now. Here you have, it looks like a grove of eucalyptus trees. I'm not positive on the species. The whole left, they didn't burn. Meanwhile, the house is just gone. The cars, they all look like this. They'll be dented up. The windows will be melted out. Now the auto glass melts approximately at 2,500 degrees.
Wow.
Forest fires don't get that hot. A full-fledged forest fire goes up to 1,400.
Yeah, I was just going to say 1,400.
Big cloud of black
smoke past the window.
Before 4:30 p.m., Chantal Katnak is on the other side of the road closure, trying to get to the highway north from the vicinity of the bypass.
There was only one cop in that area where we were at, blocking for us to go to Kiave Street.
She and her son Keanu can't even get down to the cannery. She follows a line of cars, taking a residential back road north, leading through Waikuli. She detours to Old Stewart Road, which eventually becomes a dirt residential street. However, the bypass is right behind her. Only it's closed, but there's more. Those trying to exit the middle of town from Lahaina Luna are also obstructed, heading southbound.
What kind of forest fire forgot all the trees? It's working.
And you said something about the eucalyptus before we started.
Yeah, eucalyptus is one of the most flammable or combustible leaves I know of. Here in the States, California, we have many species. And the blue gum is the one I see the most. I can pull the leaves off the tree, green, take a cigarette lighter and light them on fire. Every time. And they burn pretty quick. If you put them in a small campfire, you better back up. These things, the oils in them are very flammable. And also your California bay tree, which is in your laurel family, along with camphor trees and avocado trees and many others. The California bay tree has a ton of oils. When I'm camping in the Bay Area, these are different parks and I can hardly see my campsite and I want to find my way back to my tent. I grab some of those leaves, put them in my little campfire. Instantly, I've got big flames everywhere. In 7 years now, I've not seen one leaf of either species burn. Any eucalyptus species and any of the California bay leaves, even when the leaves are hanging down on the ground where the fire is, they're not igniting.
Oh my gosh! So I'm curious about that because using microwave waves to create fire creates such a hot fire. That's so interesting of why they wouldn't burn, but that's a whole different topic. Go ahead and keep going.
All I can say is they don't recognize the organics, even though they're super hot. They seem to be much hotter than our regular wood fires, but for whatever reason, they're not recognizing organics. They turn everything brown. They suck the water out of it like it's in a microwave oven in your kitchen, leave them brown or a light shade of green, but it will not ignite them unless they're in close proximity to metals.
That's true.
Or
you're talking about the fire. The fire doesn't recognize
that's right.
The eucalyptus organism. Oh my gosh, the organics of that organism. Yeah. Wow.
It has to be in close proximity to your metals, whether they're ferrous or non-ferrous, like aluminum, or creeks and water. And I heard along the shore here, the water was on fire. And they made up a lame excuse that there's oil and diesel and all that. No, the water itself was on fire.
That's true too.
All the creek or water-loving trees have burned from the inside out. Yes. Cooked like in a microwave. And these are willows, cottonwoods, alder, birch, maple, madrone, and many others that really want to be close to a creek. Not one leaf will be burned on them, even when the leaves are on the ground, but they'll cook from the inside out where the highest water amount of holding capacity would be.